salutations to another episode of Den of Otaku, Den of Geek's official anime, Japanese pop culture discussion series where we're going to break down all of the latest developments in the industry. There's something very cool happening at Netflix right now when they've taken two shows, PLUTO and Scott Pilgrim Takes Off, and despite how they're very different, they're similar in the sense that they're shows that have taken old properties and taken the same characters, themes, universe, but completely revamped them for modern audiences and turned them into new shows that kind of fit modern ideals. In the case of PLUTO, this is based on Osamu Tezuka's Astro Boy. This is a classic series. It's like, you've probably heard of Astro Boy. It's got a boy robot character in kind of one of the first mecha series, really gained prominence in that area. What PLUTO does, though, is it takes this childlike, friendly series and kind of gives it a Blade Runner makeover. It follows this android detective as he's following a series of murders that are happening to both humans and robots. And what's interesting about what PLUTO's doing is this isn't the first time that Astro Boy has been given this adult makeover. There's a show called Adam the Beginning that essentially does the exact same thing, but Adam the Beginning slipped through the cracks, whereas PLUTO is really one of the biggest anime of 2023. It's really found its audience, and I think this is showing a bigger discussion on how audiences are kind of finally ready for modern reboots and reimagining of series that can take old ideas and do something genuinely new with them. Whereas in the past, this might have seemed sacrilegious to the property or just not doing it justice. And it's interesting, like, this is going on in anime right now. You have shows like Osamatsu-san that are taking Osamatsu-kun and updating it in new ways, but there are also like a lot of horror movies right now that have taken child-friendly IP like Winnie the Pooh and The Grinch and made them adult stories. There's like how Fresh Prince of Bel-Air has now become Bel-Air, and it's this more adult imagining of this old idea. And it's interesting that anime is really getting in that ground floor and rebooting old ideas with new kind of factors and just trappings that are connecting with audiences in ways that they haven't before. It's really exciting. And on the opposite end of that spectrum is Scott Pilgrim Takes Off, another new anime. Scott Pilgrim started as a graphic novel series, it then became a live-action movie, then it became a video game, and it's really the perfect property to become an anime. But what's interesting with it is that it's not just an anime remake of the books. What it's doing is, it's like in the same vein as PLUTO, it's taking the same characters, themes, and universe, but telling a totally different story. Like, it kind of understands that Scott Pilgrim is a problematic protagonist, and it makes Ramona the main character now. And what's cool about PLUTO and Scott Pilgrim Takes Off is that these are shows that will resonate with the original audience, but you don't need any of that pre-existing knowledge to enjoy these shows. They work for new crowds, new audiences, and that's really a cool thing that's going on. In addition to Scott Pilgrim Takes Off, what it's doing is kind of part of a larger trend as well, with anime taking American TV shows or movies or cartoons and giving them an anime makeover. Like I said, this kind of makes sense with Scott Pilgrim, but there are anime versions of Highlander, there are anime versions of Wolverine, X-Men, there's Devil May Cry, there's an anime Terminator series coming out to Netflix, we have Star Wars Visions. These are all products that didn't begin as anime that are kind of succeeding after getting that makeover. There's an upcoming show called Suicide Squad Isekai that's taking Harley Quinn and the Suicide Squad characters and putting them in anime, and that looks to be one of the more exciting shows of 2024. And whether that's Scott Pilgrim or these other shows, it's really kind of cool to see how anime is becoming this new home for Western IP. There's like a Supernatural anime series that shouldn't exist at all. There's no reason for that. The movie Ultraviolet that nobody remembers. There's an anime for that. And so properties that don't necessarily connect in their original form can kind of work as an anime, and it's cool to see PLUTO do that. It's cool to see Scott Pilgrim Takes Off do that. Now, unfortunately, fellow otaku, that's all the time we have in this episode before I get isekai'd back to reality, but we'd once again like to thank you for joining us on this adventure, and until next time, Space Cowboys, we'll see you then.